Do you want an hour of fun facts? Subscribe to Zarpado because we are already starting. Did you know there was a heavyweight world champion who could also give you a class with references? Vitaly Klitschko did not just throw punches, he had a PhD, as if instead of ding ding, you heard APA citation. In the ring, he mixed brain and muscle, proving you can think and punch at the same time. Basically, Dr. Iron Fists, but with a framed diploma. Meet Paulo Coelho, the writer who does not start a book without first walking, as if he were fulfilling a promise. He does hundreds of miles on the Camino de Santiago to unlock ideas, as if stories lived in the caves. And for extra drama, he performs fire rituals before handing in manuscripts. If the book does not leave him sweating, for him it has no soul. Discover José Guadalupe Posada, the man who drew death with so much style that he ended up immortalizing himself without knowing it. He died poor, never imagining that his Catrinas would become the global icon of the Day of the Dead. He portrayed rich and poor as skeletons to remind them that in the end we all end up in skeleton mode. And the ironic punchline? He was buried in a common grave. Have you ever laughed so hard that you ran out of air? Chrysippus, a Greek philosopher, took that to the extreme. They say he died laughing after seeing a donkey eating figs. The scene seemed so absurd that his body said, "This is as far as we go," and his heart collapsed. In the 1950s, someone looked at a car and said, "What if we make it nuclear?" The nuclear-powered car promised to travel thousands of miles on uranium, as if parking were the same as plugging in a toaster. Spoiler, it stayed as a model because a tiny failure could turn your grocery run into world news. Pure atomic optimism. Meet Julio Cortázar, the writer who listened to boxing the way others listen to classical music. He loved the rhythm of fights and used it as structure for his stories, as if every jab were a paragraph break. To relax, he played the trumpet a bit loosely because jazz cleared his head of words. Tall, strange, and playful, he looked like a librarian from Mars. Would you dare to drink a soda that tastes like dog breath? Yes, it exists. Dog breath soda is sold as a joke in novelty shops in the United States. It is sugary water with a chemical aroma designed to make your face say, "Why do I hate myself?" It is used for dares and prank gifts that end friendships. Disgust industry, perfect business. Discover Horacio Quiroga, the Uruguayan who went into the Misiones jungle as if civilization gave him allergies. He built his own furniture and boats, lived alongside animals and observed them to write intense stories. He had a dark obsession with death and tools and spent months in isolation. Literary genius with a wild heart, he preferred fauna over human gossip. Did you know there is a ring that looks like it came out of an epic movie, but is completely real? Joan of Arc's ring, made of brass and engraved with Jesus Maria, was like her pocket spiritual shield in the middle of war. Years later, it was auctioned for almost $500,000, as if faith came with a luxury price tag. From the girl who changed history, few objects remain. Before taking off to the moon, the Apollo 11 crew did something very human. They signed autographs like rock stars. The idea was that if they did not come back, their families could sell them because they could not even get life insurance for such a brutal trip. Imagine conquering space while worrying about your wallet. Fame is a financial parachute, NASA edition. Discover the Gate of the Giants at the Temple of Jupiter in Lebanon, a place where stones go into "I will not move even with magic mode." There are blocks of about 800 tons, the trilithon, arranged as if someone had a divine crane. No one knows for sure how they were lifted and transported, which sparked myths of giants and pre-flood superhumans. Archaeology 1, Mystery 10. Can you imagine your heart having its own passport? Chopin's heart is kept in a jar filled with cognac inside a church in Warsaw, like an emotional capsule with a lid. His sister carried it hidden under her clothes from Paris to fulfill his wish to return home, even if it was in VIP organ format. It was analyzed and confirmed what was suspected: tuberculosis, with a legendary relic ending. Meet President Lyndon B. Johnson and his ultimate uncle with infinite power hobby. He owned an amphibious car and used it to scare guests. He would take them for a ride, speed toward a lake, and shout the brakes do not work, enjoying their panic until the car floated like an elegant duck. He managed the nuclear era, but his fun was the classic scare prank. Simple humor, strange engineering, traumatized guests. Did you know there is a plant that is not for selfies? It is for snack time. Attenborough's pitcher plant is so large it can digest rats, with an acidic liquid that works like a disciplined stomach. It was found in the highlands of the Philippines, where nature keeps secrets like hidden downloadable content. A friendly reminder that the planet still has technologies that look at you and say, "I run this place." Discover Leonora Carrington, full surrealist and chef of the impossible. She cooked magical dinners with squid ink, petals, and the whole vibe of a gourmet spell. For her, the kitchen was real-time art, capable of changing perception like a painting you can eat. She lived in Mexico surrounded by cats and crows, treating them as spiritual guides with feathers and attitude. Her life was a mystical carnival where imagination was the main course. Did you know that in 1816 the world had a year without summer, as if the sun took a vacation without notice? The eruption of Tambora filled the sky with ash and dimmed the light, and people survived on whatever they could find, even horses and grass. Apocalypse menu mode. In that dark and depressing climate, Mary Shelley was inspired to write Frankenstein. A volcano sneezes and literature changes forever. Discover the Phaistos disc, a clay-voiced note with symbols stamped in a spiral that nobody has managed to decipher. It is as if someone invented printing thousands of years before Gutenberg and then said, "I am done. Good luck with the message." Worse still, several symbols appear nowhere else. 0 clues, 0 dictionary. An archaeological mystery that laughs in the face of any modern translator. Meet the most famous accident in chemistry, Albert Hofmann and LSD, a molecule that slipped into history almost uninvited. He absorbed a tiny amount and experienced the first recorded trip. Colors, shapes, reality juggling. That episode ended up influencing psychiatry and 20th century culture like a pebble that triggers an avalanche. Moral: sometimes science surprises you. Tiger bone wine sounds like a movie potion, but it is a real practice tied to traditional medicine and the idea of a miracle cure for rheumatism. The problem is that it involves parts of a protected animal. It is illegal and still exists through a black market where a fortune is paid. It is a sad example of how superstition can push majestic predators toward extinction. Tradition versus conservation is a hard fight, and the tiger should not pay the price. Did you know Pedro Infante was not only a film idol, but also a total flying fanatic? He logged almost 3,000 hours as a pilot, as if between movies he cleared his head literally. Fate was cruel. He died piloting his own aircraft in an accident in Merida. He left the perfect mix for legend: charisma, speed, and tragedy. In boxing, there is a story that hits harder than a hook. The Fight of the Orphans, linked to Max Baer and Primo Carnera. Baer had lived the horror of a rival dying in the ring, and later used his earnings to help the deceased fighter's children. Yes, brutal fists on the outside, huge conscience on the inside. A rare and human reminder that even in violence, empathy can appear. Discover Odorama. Movies, but with your nose included and zero shame. You were given a card to scratch and sniff, and when a number appeared on screen, you scratched and smelled everything from flowers to garbage, synced with the scene. John Waters used it in polyester to make the experience as bizarre as it was unforgettable. Basically, cheap 4D cinema, with the scent of chaos. Meet Joan Miro, the artist who punished his paintings like misbehaving students. He left them facing the wall for years if they did not behave well. He said painting had to mature, as if the canvas needed to reflect on its actions. The wildest part is that he could return a decade later and add a single line that changed everything. Teacher-level patience. Simple to look at, complex like the human mind. Did you know that inventor Thomas Migley Jr. had a dark humor ending straight out of a cruel screenplay? Because of polio, he designed a system of pulleys to move in bed and ended up strangled by his own invention. The irony is that he was also linked to leaded gasoline, meaning he harmed the planet and then his own technology came back for him. Total genius with a deeply tragic and personal twist. Meet the eight-wheeled car of 1911, the most ambitious attempt to turn a car into a flying carpet with extra wheels. The idea was to distribute weight like a train car, so the ride would be smooth and stable, zero bumps, zero drama. The problem was that it was so long that turning a normal corner felt like parking a bus in a hallway. Result: massive commercial failure and an eternal lesson that more parts are not always better. Discover Isabel Allende in her writer ritual with a sacred calendar. She starts all her books on January 8th, no exceptions. It began because the House of the Spirits was started that day as a letter to her dying grandfather, and it stuck as a magic date. It is as if inspiration had a fixed yearly appointment. Sometimes success is built with talent and with a well-placed superstition. Did you know there is a beer made with yeast taken from a human beard? Beard Beer by Rogue Ales uses wild yeast living in the brewmaster's beard, as if his face were a portable lab. Some people feel instant disgust and others see it as high-risk craft art. The incredible part is that it ferments and can give fruity notes, meaning the beard is working overtime. Meet the Borgia Codex, an Aztec book that looks like a sacred destiny comic, full of rituals, cosmology, and symbols. It is made of treated deer skin and unfolds like a screen, as if knowledge came in accordion format. It survived when many manuscripts were destroyed, making it a rare window into that world. Fascinating and powerful, like looking at the mental map of a civilization. The Mitchell-Hedges crystal skull is the perfect object to say this is too beautiful not to have a legend. It was said to be Maya and carved from pure quartz in a single piece, as if made with magic and infinite patience. But modern analyses point to European industrial tools from the 19th century, more workshop than temple. Still, it keeps captivating everyone. Mystery, beauty, and pop culture in an unbeatable combo. Do ghost ships give you chills? The SS Bechimo was abandoned in 1931 after being trapped in Arctic ice, but it did not sink and kept appearing for decades. Explorers and locals spotted it as if it were patrolling alone, surviving storms without a crew. They say it drifted for about 38 years, as if it had a secret mission. And the best or worst part, nobody knows where it is today. Did you know that in Nevada there is a geyser born from a human mistake that turned into alien art? Fly Geyser appeared when a well was drilled in 1964, and instead of being fixed, it started spewing hot water nonstop. Minerals and algae built a colorful mound that looks like an Instagram filter in Planet Mars mode. On top of that, it is private property, making it the desert VIP. Beautiful, strange, and hard to see. Meet the most ostentatious typewriter in literary espionage, Ian Fleming's 24-karat gold-plated machine. He finished his first novel and said, "I will celebrate properly with Bond villain-level luxury." With that golden beauty, he wrote the saga of the coolest agent on the planet, as if each key fired a martini. It was later auctioned for a fortune, because of course, even objects wanted to be 007. Can you imagine a car so incredible that it turned into a phrase? The Duesenberg Model J was so powerful and luxurious that it inspired the saying, "It's a doozy," meaning this is insanely good. It was the favorite of Hollywood and of people whose wallets did not recognize the word moderation. On top of that, it was custom built like a formal suit with wheels, so every owner had a one-of-a-kind piece. Seeing one today feels like looking at the peak of the before everything got complicated era. Discover the flying duck orchid, a flower that literally disguises itself as a duck to survive. Yes, the plant does cosplay, and with strategy, it attracts insects that get confused. Try to court the flower and boom, they pollinate it by accident. It is so hard to grow outside Australia that seeing it in the wild feels like finding a legendary Pokemon. Fernando Botero did not only paint and sculpt volume, he also seemed to have a volume radar for collecting art. It is said he liked works that dialogued with his style, as if his painting said only curves aloud. The best part is that he donated a huge amount to the Botero Museum, so anyone could enjoy it for free. His generosity was as big as his figures. Huge art, huge heart. Velcro was born because someone stared at a burr stuck to clothing and thought there is hidden technology here. The wild part is that this countryside idea ended up having microscopic versions used even in surgery. Instead of classic sutures, some applications help bind tissues like ultra-precise tiny hooks. Moral: a walk in the countryside can end up saving lives in a hospital. Can you imagine saying goodbye to a loved one with a ritual that feels from another universe? In some Amazon tribes, there is ash wine, where the ashes of the deceased are mixed into a drink to symbolize that their spirit and wisdom continue living in others. It is not about shock value, but a cultural way of mourning and continuity very different from the Western view. It is intense, yes, but it also speaks of love and belonging. The community saying you are not gone completely. Did you know Thalia was given a legend worthy of a sci-fi soap opera? Rumors say she had ribs removed for a smaller waist and even kept them in a jar, and she herself has joked about it countless times. Between jokes, memes, and pop mythology, the story grew like a media snowball. Perfect proof that fame sometimes creates stories stronger than any anatomy. Meet the chilling match of death of 1942. Ukrainian prisoners playing soccer against Nazi soldiers, with life as both prize and punishment. It is said that even knowing the risk, they chose to compete and win out of dignity, as if every goal were a scream of resistance. The story ended with brutal repression and deportations to camps, turning many players into tragic symbols. Their sport stopped being a game and became pure courage. Can you imagine a giant computer trying to think like a neuron? In 1958, the perceptron appeared, a massive machine that learned to recognize shapes like a technological baby, saying, "That is a square, I think." It was one of the first serious steps toward modern artificial intelligence. Basically the great-great-grandfather of "Hello, I am talking to you" in 2025. A simple idea that opened the door to a revolution. The death linked to the Segway feels like a cruel joke of fate. Jimmy Heselden, the businessman who bought the company, fell off a cliff while riding one. It was a real and ironic accident. A vehicle designed to keep balance, losing the fight against gravity. It happened while he was using it on difficult terrain, as if trying to prove how safe it was. Reminder: technology can be brilliant, but the world does not forgive distractions. Discover the Pope Mobile, the capsule car that mixes faith and armor like a vehicle of divine protection. After the attack on John Paul II, the concept evolved into a bulletproof glass bubble so the Pope could greet people without being exposed. It went from simple jeeps to elegant tank-like vehicles engineered for total security. It is literally a vehicle where visibility and survival are always negotiating. Did you know that in Madrid there is a famous relic because it changes state on specific dates? The blood of St. Pantaleon, according to tradition, liquefies each year inside an ampule, guarded by nuns and draws crowds who come to witness the phenomenon. For some it is a miracle, for others a physical mystery with no clear explanation. Whatever it is, people have been staring at that little vial for centuries like it is a season finale. The voyage of the St. Louis in 1939 is one of those stories that leaves a knot in your chest. A ship with about 900 Jewish refugees searching for safe harbor and receiving no after no. While the ship stayed afloat, politics closed doors across the American continent, forcing them to return to a Europe in chaos. Sometimes borders weigh more than the ocean. A harsh lesson about bureaucracy, fear, and lives on hold. Meet Jellyfish Lake in Palau, a place where you swim among millions of jellyfish, and surprisingly, they almost do not sting. Having lived isolated from predators for a very long time, their defense weakened, and humans can float among them like in a gelatin dream. It is a rare natural sanctuary, like a marine spa with transparent creatures. A reminder that environment can rewrite a species' instincts. Did you know there is a relic that was literally stolen by biting? Legend says a devoted woman at maximum fan level took advantage of a moment and bit off a finger of St. Francis Xavier to keep it as a souvenir. Yes, sacred merchandise, extreme edition. Today it is preserved in Goa as proof that fanaticism can turn faith into an action movie. Sometimes body parts travel in stranger ways than the saint himself. Meet the water clock of Ctesibius, a Greek invention that makes you think, and I complain about Wi-Fi. It used a constant flow of water to move gears and mark hours with astonishing precision. It even had mechanical bird whistles, as if time came with a fake nature soundtrack. It is the elegant grandfather of modern automatic clocks without batteries or apps. Just water gravity and a lot of ingenuity. Discover the passion flower passiflora, the plant that looks designed by an artist with too much imagination. Jesuits saw symbols of the Passion of Christ in its parts and used it as floral catechism, as if botany came with a sermon. In real life, it is a perfect machine to attract specific pollinators, pure natural engineering. It is beautiful, complex, and dramatic, like nature knew how to pose for the camera. Culture gave it meaning. The plant just wanted to survive. Francisco Toledo turned art into a shout. He made kites with the faces of the 43 disappeared students and lifted them into the sky. He used wind and paper as protest technology so memory would not stay on the ground or in oblivion. He was also a defender of wildlife and Oaxacan culture, living with a simplicity that contrasted with his fame. His message was clear. If it hurts, it must be named, and if it is named, it resists. Art that does not decorate, it pushes. Did you know the Lisbon earthquake of 1755 happened during All Saints' Day Mass and created a scene that shattered minds and beliefs? Churches collapsed over worshipers, while some brothels built with better wood stood firm. The shock was so intense that many people entered a crisis of faith, asking, how can this be? That disaster pushed ideas that later fed modern seismology, a day when the earth shook not only the ground, but the way the world was explained. Discover the stone spheres of Costa Rica, hundreds of almost perfect balls in the jungle, as if someone played prehistoric billiards. They range from the size of a ball to more than 6 feet across, and there is still no full agreement on how they were made without modern metal tools. Of course, this sparked legends of super advanced civilizations and lost mathematical secrets. Today, they are a World Heritage Site and remain the roundest. How did they do that in archaeology? Mystery shaped like a perfect circle. Beaver gland wine sounds like a bar joke, but it was real in the past. They used castrium, a secretion from beavers, for flavoring, and even as medicine for countless ailments, from pain to hysteria. Basically, ancient pharmacy mixed with very strange cocktail culture. Today, those aromas are replaced with synthetic versions because thanks science. Still, the anecdote remains. Wild chemistry and humans have always had an intense relationship. Meet Juan Gabriel in his level of portable home. He had a private plane with a bedroom decorated exactly like his house. No matter the country, he wanted to feel inside his world as if peace of mind had official decor. He even traveled with his own chef to keep the taste of his homeland because the show can change, but the palate does not negotiate. His life was color drama, and big love turned into shared spectacle. An artist who made luxury a way of feeling human. Meet the final farewell of Fernando Botero. The master of volume and Latin symbol chose to rest in a small Italian town called Pietrasanta. There he learned to master marble and bronze, and wanted to remain close to the artisans who helped give body to his dreams. It is like saying my art was born with you and my rest too. His passing left two lands joined by mourning, Latin America and that Italy of workshops and marble dust. Can you imagine dying because of a distracted eagle? It happened to Aeschylus, the Greek playwright. An eagle dropped a tortoise on his head after mistaking his bald scalp for a rock. The bird wanted to crack the shell, and instead ended a genius in a second like a macabre joke of fate. It is the star case of fatality by perception error, nature edition. Moral: wildlife forgives no one, not even the important ones. We reach installment 1520, and I present the jewel car. The gold car of some Arab sheikhs covered in white gold and diamonds. It is not transportation. It is look at me shine on wheels as if the desert sun had competition. Of course it needs constant security because touching it without permission must be a premium sin. Extreme luxury, when a vehicle stops being a car and becomes a modern relic. Discover the Buddha finger? A relic kept at Feynman Temple in China inside 7 gold caskets like a video game level treasure. It is believed to belong to the historical Buddha and to have survived wars, persecutions, and centuries of human chaos. For many, it is tangible faith. For archaeologists, a key piece to understand religious history. Philosophy turned into matter guarded at final boss level. Did you know Leonardo da Vinci also thought like a programmer without electricity? His music box uses rotating drums with pins that can be programmed to play automatic melodies. It is like an analog computer storing musical instructions centuries before flash drives. Da Vinci saw the future and said, "I will build it with wood and metal, thank you." Automation before the word existed. Meet the Delahaye 165, a car so elegant it looks like liquid metal wearing an Art Deco suit. Its wheels are covered by the body to improve aerodynamics, as if it were a sculpture that decided to race. The wildest part is that only 2 were made, so seeing one is like meeting a mechanical unicorn. It comes from an era when humans designed machines with the soul of artwork. Jennifer Lawrence shared something so human it makes you laugh nervously. When she is truly scared, her body triggers an alarm and she can pee. Yes, even a star has biological reactions that fame or glamour cannot hide. It is panic in its pure state, no editing, no filters, no red carpet to cover it. A beautiful reminder that the body always holds the remote control. Did you know Maria Felix did not wear jewelry? She wore luxury animals tamed by Cartier. She commissioned a crocodile necklace in gold and diamonds that could be separated into 2 brooches, like the creature had elegant transformer mode. She also requested emerald eyes so it looked alive because she did not want to shine, she wanted to intimidate with glamour. Her style was pure power, aesthetic technology, and commanding presence. Plastic was born almost by accident when Leo Baekeland searched for a replacement for shellac and ended up creating Bakelite. The incredible thing is that it was the first synthetic material that did not melt with heat, meaning finally something that holds. From there, everything exploded. Radios, telephones, and thousands of everyday objects we no longer think about. A chemical mistake that became the backbone of the modern age. Basically, the world said, okay, now everything will be plastic. Would you dare try a mezcal with an insect power-up? In some rural areas of Mexico, there is ant wine or mezcal, where ant extract is added for an electric flavor. They say formic acid delivers an intense kick that wakes your system like a lemon slap. It is tradition, desert, and fauna in a bottle altogether. A toast that sounds strange, but in its homeland has logic and character. Meet Beyoncé's pre-stage ritual. She prays with her team as if assembling an invisible shield. For her performing drains energy, so that moment is her spiritual technology for protection before stepping out to dominate. On top of that, she controls every camera angle like directing a secret mission. Nothing is left to chance. Massive talent plus total control equals unstoppable presence. The queen does not enter, she deploys. The plaster gloves fight is the darkest face of boxing. Luis Resto versus Billy Collins Jr., a fraud where violence came with cheating. Padding was removed from the gloves, and the hand wraps were hardened with chemicals, turning fists into stones in disguise. The damage was severe and destroyed careers and lives as if the ring became a laboratory of horror. A harsh reminder, when cheating enters, the sport breaks. José Clemente Orozco was so demanding that if a work did not feel powerful enough, he destroyed it without mercy. Even after losing his left hand, he still had a will of steel and used fire and acid to erase anything that did not convince him. His murals do not decorate, they shout. Human pain painted wall size. He lived fighting his physical limits and beating them with creative fury. Did you know that Heraclitus, the philosopher of everything flows, had an ending so absurd it sounds like a cruel joke? He tried to cure his dropsy by covering himself in cow manure to dry his humors, a home remedy turned disaster. Between heat, lack of air, and a terrible idea, he ended up suffocating during the experiment. Total irony, the man of change got trapped in the worst medical technology imaginable. Sometimes thought flies high, and the body brings you crashing down. Did you know the Lamborghini Miura was basically the moment the car said, I am putting on a cape? It invented the idea of the mid-engine supercar moving the heart to the center, so driving felt like taming a bull in a tuxedo. Everything was inspired by Lamborghini's bullfighting mystique. Power, elegance, and a touch of do not stare too long. Stories say even Frank Sinatra loved it, because some people drive and others make history. Meet Luis Miguel in premium bubble mode. Rumors say he travels with hospital-grade water and air purifiers. He does not let a suspicious molecule get near those vocal cords as if they were world heritage. Imagine opening a hotel window and someone saying, no, that air is unfiltered. Total environment control. When you have resources, even oxygen has a protocol. Did you know dynamite was born because Alfred Nobel wanted to tame nitroglycerin without being sent to greet his ancestors? By mixing it with diatomaceous earth fossil powder, he created a much more stable paste, still explosive but manageable. He became a millionaire and later created the Nobel Prizes as if saying, okay, I will balance my karma. Thanks to that idea, tunnels, canals, and massive works were built with an invention that started as I need this not to blow up in my face. Discover the most show business level eccentricity. It is said Taylor Swift insured her legs for tens of millions of dollars. In her world, moving on stage is not just dancing, it is work towards business and spectacle. It is like insuring a work of art that walks, jumps, and shines under lights. Anatomy turned into a high-risk asset, glamour with an insurance policy. Have you ever wondered why fencing outfits are all white as if they were going to an elegant party with swords? Before electric sensors, hits were marked with ink. The tip was dipped and bam, the mark showed the strike. White was the perfect canvas to see who hit whom without debate. Today's suits keep the tradition, even though technology does the talking now. Fashion with historical memory literally stained. Meet David Alfaro Siqueiros. The man who did not paint walls, he turned them into stages. In the March of Humanity at the Polyforum, he used sculptural painting so forms burst out and surround you as if the mural wanted to pull you inside history. It is not just art, it is architecture, politics, and constant wow at a massive scale. A work that looks at you and says you are not here to pass through, you are here to feel. The death of Charles Rolls feels like the tragic chapter of a man who loves speed in every form. Co-founder of Rolls-Royce, he became an aviation pioneer and ended up in one of the first British plane crashes when his aircraft tail failed during a demonstration. Strong irony, he perfected elegance on the ground, and the sky charged him for exploring the new. Sometimes history moves forward because someone dares, even when the risk is real. Did you know there was a Formula One car with 6 wheels that looked like it said, "If 2 is good, 6 is better"? The Tyrrell P34 had 4 small front wheels to cut air and grip corners like a cat on a curtain. And it was not just a wild experiment, it actually won a Grand Prix. We reach installment 1560 with this rare beast proof that innovation sometimes comes from madness. The track saw it and said, okay, this exists. Meet the Aeolipile of Hero, a tiny steam machine from the 1st century that worked as a toy in Alexandria, while the future pulled its hair out. It used the same principle that centuries later would power factories and trains, but back then it was look how funny it spins with steam. It is like finding a smartphone in the year 100 and using it as a paperweight. Technology ahead of its time, victim of a society not ready yet. The Porsche 917 was so fast that its own drivers looked at it like, this thing wants to kill me. With its flat 12 engine at Le Mans, it turned the driver into a missile with a steering wheel and courage. It dominated races and today is a legendary, extremely valuable piece that smells like history and adrenaline. It represents the moment engineering outran the nervous system. Terrifying beauty in race mode. Discover the bee orchid Ophrys apifera, the plant that literally catfishes in nature. Its petals imitate the shape and smell of a female bee, and the male falls for it trying to court a flower. In that attempt, he pollinates it by accident like a romantic messenger fooled by botanical perfume. It is perfect evolutionary hacking, flora using chemistry and acting. Nature scores 10 out of 10 in manipulation. Steve Jobs applied obsession to everything, including his body. He could eat only carrots or apples for weeks. He believed it would prevent body odor and allow him to skip deodorant. And yes, stories say he even turned slightly orange from excess beta-carotene. It is minimalism mode but human biology edition. Creative genius with robot-level rigid routines. When your mind runs on simplicity, even diet becomes software. Seagull wine is an extreme Arctic tradition. A dead bird is fermented in a bottle with water under the sun to create a fast alcoholic effect. It sounds like an internet challenge, but it was a solution where distilling was nearly impossible. They say the smell is brutal, the kind that knocks your soul out. Culturally, it is survival. Nothing is wasted in a harsh environment. Cuisine of whatever exists in full wild mode. Meet Nicolas Cage, the man who decided his diet depends on how animals have sex. He says he only eats meat from species that mate with dignity, like birds and fish, and avoids pork or beef because he dislikes their romantic style. On top of that, he spends fortunes on rare relics, like dinosaur skulls or castles. His life is a museum of inexplicable yet fascinating decisions. Would you dare try a dish that comes with poetry, bagpipes, and organs? Scottish haggis mixes sheep heart, lung, and liver minced and cooked inside the animal's stomach like medieval sausage with no fear. It is celebrated at national events with pride as ancestral power food. For some, it is delicious, for others, a test of culinary bravery. Pure tradition, strong, historic, and unfiltered. Did you know Salvador Dali turned his mustache into a sweet fly trap? He coated it with honey to attract insects and said the tickling on his skin sparked surreal ideas, as if inspiration arrived with wings and buzz. Basically, brainstorming fauna edition, straight on the face. Dalí did not just paint paintings, he painted personas, and he was the first one. His life was constant performance, and his death closed a very strange chapter of art. Meet the hormigas culonas, the Colombian snack that looks at you and says, "I am protein crunch in tradition." They are toasted and eaten as a snack and collected during the rainy season when the queens emerge like nature opening a limited time stand. In Santander, they are considered aphrodisiac, so you snack and feel powerful. A rural luxury proving insects can be gourmet, crunchy, strange, and proudly local. Jai alai, or chesta punta, is the sport where the ball moves so fast your brain arrives late. Using a wicker basket as an extended arm, players fire shots that have been dangerous enough to cause on-court tragedies. It was huge in casinos before digital betting overshadowed it, but it remains a wild dance of reflexes. Watching it is like seeing a whip duel with a ball. Blink and you already lost. Can you imagine writing with your heart racing literally? Honoré de Balzac drank up to 50 cups of black coffee a day to write for 15 hours straight as if creativity ran on premium fuel. He said coffee was gunpowder for the brain, and his life was a constant yes to caffeine. The problem is obvious. That much spark eventually burns the engine, and his heart paid the price. Genius fueled by excess with the bill included. Did you know Ted Williams became a futuristic relic? His head was preserved through cryogenics as if paused, waiting for tomorrow's technology to bring him back. It is the human dream of beating death with science sports edition. Fascinating and controversial. A frozen archive of real talent. The bats stopped, but the story did not. Joe Frazier turned an accident with a pig into the origin of one of boxing's most feared left hooks. As a child, a blow from that animal damaged his arm and left it at a strange angle, a mark that later became a weapon. He transformed pain and twisted bone into knockout technology, pure biography turned fist. It is one of those stories where life hits you and you learn to hit back harder. Fate gave him a wound and he made it legend. The Big Papa slice is a giant slice of pizza measuring 26 by 36 inches. It is a creation of the restaurant Big Mama's and Papa's in Los Angeles. It is designed to easily feed 6 or 7 people. It became famous for its exaggerated size and television appearances. Perfect for gatherings, challenges, or unconventional celebrations. Have you seen the Jewish boy who managed to make a Buckingham guard laugh without a classic joke? He improvised a story saying they went to school together and that his mom was coming to pick him up because he was shy. The guard, usually locked in serious mode, broke and burst into laughter. When reality improvises, even protocol cracks. Meet life. Paint the Volvo spray that turns you into a reflective human, like a character with a nighttime power-up. You apply it to a bike backpack or clothing, and when the sun goes down, it glows so you can be seen from far away. It lasts several days and washes off with water without damaging anything. Discover Joshua Vides the artist who takes real objects and turns them into 2D drawings in real life. He paints thick black lines over white, and suddenly a car looks like it stepped out of a comic. He has transformed sneakers, objects, and even full vehicles as if the world were intentionally misrendered. It is this real or a giant sketch question turned into art? Can you imagine sleeping under the sea like a fish with a black card? The Maraca in the Maldives has bedrooms several yards underwater with transparent walls. You lie down and the ocean looks back at you like an aquarium, except you are inside it. Extreme luxury mixed with marine architecture for people who say, "I want a view and mean it." Meet Dominic Davis, the stop-motion animator who creates minimalist magic with simple things. Neutral colors, clean sets, and movements so precise they are a pleasure to watch. He uses basic materials like clay paper or wood and still achieves a hypnotic rhythm. It is like visual ASMR with monk-level patience. Did you know Barbara Lynn Hellman creates hyper-realistic portraits with dice? In her work, The Last D of Michael Jordan, she used thousands of black and white dice to build shadows and volume. Each die face acts like a shade of gray, as if mathematics decided to paint. Art plus calculation plus beautiful obsession. In Budapest, a movie theater opened with beds because someone said enough chairs, we deserve premium naps. You lie down with a pillow and watch the movie like it is an endless Sunday. It is inside a renovated shopping center and targets people who love cinema in rest. Beware, the real villain here is falling asleep during the best scene. Discover Christian Goni, the artist who uses Rubik's cubes like pixels on steroids. He arranges each cube to form colors, and from a distance a full face or landscape appears. It is patience planning and steady hands, because one wrong twist and your celebrity gets an error. 404 face. Kinetic art for people unafraid of click-click. Did you know there is a dolphin with no dorsal fin, as if it came in a streamlined version? The southern right whale dolphin lives in cold waters of the southern hemisphere and is so elusive that spotting one feels like a reward. It has a robust body and a rounded head with no pronounced beak, very different from the typical smiling dolphin look. Meet the Pancake Bot 2.0, the printer that uses pancake batter instead of ink. You load a digital design and it draws pancakes shaped like characters, logos, or edible portraits. It is art you can eat, and that always wins. Perfect for fairs, events, or showing off at breakfast like a chef engineer. Discover the star fungus Astraeus hygrometricus, which opens and closes depending on humidity like a natural sensor with style. When the air is dry, it folds up, and when moisture appears, it spreads into a star shape. It lives in dry soils and pine forests and looks like a geometric sculpture made by nature. Did you know that in Sichuan opera, there is a trick that looks like real magic? Bien Lian consists of changing mass in a fraction of a second without anyone understanding how. It is a secret technique, years of practice, and hands faster than gossip. Seeing it live feels like your eyesight just got hacked. Meet the Optimal 2200, a machine that transplants giant trees as if they were flower pots on steroids. It uses hydraulic blades to extract the tree with its root ball and move it without destroying the roots. It is used in urban planning and conservation because sometimes relocation beats cutting. In Yakutsk, where the cold slaps your soul, a couple raises 22 children and 18 are adopted. Their home is basically a refuge of human warmth in the middle of ice. Between coats, logistics, and giant hearts, they build a massive family with smiles included. If winter is hardcore, they are resilience mode. Did you know the snowy owl looks like a snowball with yellow eyes saying, "Do not underestimate me"? It lives in the Arctic with dense feathers that protect it from brutal cold. It hunts on snow and became an icon of frozen landscapes and northern legends. White, silent, and extremely elegant, the polar ninja with feathers. Meet fluffy cows, cattle that look like extra-large plush toys. It is not magic, it is breeding, brushing, bathing in special drying to make the hair look fluffy. At livestock shows and online, they go viral because you want to hug them, even if they might disagree. Cuteness also has a hair salon. Do you like videos that make you sweat just by watching? Jay Masters is dedicated to extreme sports, jumps from heights skydiving, and stunts that leave your hands cold. He mixes adrenaline with professional production, like each clip is a short film. It inspires and terrifies, and that is the business. Your mom watches and turns off the screen. Did you know there is a pink grasshopper due to a genetic rarity called erythrism? It is not another species, it is a mutation that turns it bubblegum pink and ruins its camouflage. That is why seeing one is extremely rare, because nature does not forgive being flashy. It is like wearing a neon suit on a secret mission. Beautiful, but with low survival odds. Meet the Real Team Brazilian skydivers, who fly in formation like a choreography in the sky. They perform high-speed acrobatics with surgical precision. Did you know there is a hotel where giraffes greet you at breakfast like curious neighbors? At Giraffe Manor in Nairobi, Rothschild, giraffes approach the windows and guests can feed them. It is luxury with conservation because part of the income helps protect the species. The experience is so sweet it feels unreal. Breakfast with long necks included. In Talca, Chile, nature went rebellious and created an inverted waterfall where the water seems to go up. The trick is strong winds and air currents pushing the stream upward, creating a brain-breaking illusion. It is like gravity saying not working today. You stare and start doubting everything. Meet the Lord of Tlapalita, a religious figure from the state of Mexico, made with corn cane using a traditional indigenous technique. It is celebrated with devotion processions and a syncretic mix of indigenous and Christian beliefs. It is art, faith, and history in one piece. When you see it, you understand why tradition carries weight. Did you know there are scissors with a laser guide to cut straight as if your hand had a built-in ruler? It does not cut with laser. The light only marks the path, so you stay on the line. Useful for sewing paper crafts and any project where a millimeter ruins your day. It is the solution for people who say, "I cut fine," and then do not. Discover transformation of pencils where graphite leads are turned into micro sculptures that look impossible. With tiny blades and magnifying lenses, they carve towers, animals, or letters into minimal space. Each piece takes hours or days because patience rules here. It is ant mode art, small, detailed, and brutally difficult. Meet Deep End Fitness, extreme aquatic training that mixes breath-holding endurance and mental calm. Underwater routines teach you to control breathing and avoid panic. Athletes, military personnel, and people seeking personal limits use it. It is a gym where air is a privilege. Did you know Denis Sadic turns trash into hyper-realistic portraits? He uses old jeans, cables, bottles, and cans to assemble faces that look like photographs. It is upcycling at gallery-level recycling that not only works, but hits hard. Activism with aesthetics, so awareness can be beautiful too. Meet Hercules, the Amazon robot that lifts shelving units like they are light boxes. Its job is moving massive racks in fulfillment centers to speed up orders. It is brute force with a system brain optimizing everything like real-life Tetris. If you complain about grocery bags, this robot laughs in 1,235 pounds. Did you know Daniel Corden captures northern lights in photos that look from another planet? He uses long exposures in polar locations, so the sky appears painted with light. His night landscapes feel unreal like movie backdrops. They are the kind of images that make you say, okay, Earth can make art too. The C-5M Super Galaxy is a cargo aircraft so large it looks like a building with wings. It can transport enormous items like tanks, helicopters, and massive equipment for military or humanitarian missions. It is the logistics beast. When the world needs moving, they call this air monster. If it could talk, it would say, "Load it all, I do not mind." Meet the sand spider, the desert ninja that disappears in seconds. It buries itself incredibly fast and waits hidden for prey, like invisibility is active. Even predators struggle to detect it. Master-level camouflage. Did you know that in curling sweeping, the ice can change the path of the stone? When the broom passes, it slightly warms the surface and reduces friction, helping guide the slide. It is chess on ice with brooms and strategy. It looks gentle, but it is precise. A sport where cleaning is tactics. Discover the food printer that draws, shapes logos or portraits on dishes using edible inks made from vegetables and flowers. It is cooking with software, ideal for pastry and events where you want to wow before the first bite. It can also adapt to special diets. Art that ends in your stomach, the happiest ending. Did you know cuneiform writing is one of the oldest in the world and was made on clay tablets? Styluses were used to press wedge shapes like history written with soft taps. From there came some of the oldest literature, like the Epic of Gilgamesh, basically the first save file of humanity. Meet the Freddo chair, which reclines 180 degrees and puts you into gamer bed mode in seconds. It has lumbar support and adjustments to survive work streaming or guilt-free naps. It blends comfort and posture with modern aesthetics. Real danger, never wanting to stand up again. A coffee that rains sugar, yes. At Mellower Coffee, they serve a drink where a cloud of cotton candy melts with steam and falls like sweet rain onto the coffee. It is hypnotic, tasty, and theatrical, like your cup has special effects. You do not just drink coffee, you watch a show. The barista is the film director. Discover Millie Carey's system that disinfects fruits and vegetables in minutes using technologies like ozone or ultrasound. The idea is to clean without leaving chemicals or ruining texture and flavor. Useful for homes or businesses wanting fast, effective hygiene. It is premium washing for your salad. Meet the robot dog with a flamethrower. Yes, it exists. And that is why the internet never disappoints. It has been shown useful for extreme cleaning tasks or dangerous jobs, but also raises serious debates about misuse. It is impressive technology with strong movie vibes. Reminder, futuristic still needs limits. Did you know female northern cardinals pluck feathers from their belly to incubate better? They create a bare skin patch to transfer heat directly to the eggs. It is motherhood without filters, efficient and sacrificial. No drama, pure instinct. Discover the Interlace in Singapore, a building that breaks the classic skyscraper mold. Instead of rising as a tower, it stacks cross blocks, creating courtyards and open spaces. Its design maximizes light and ventilation, and it has been awarded for sustainability. It looks like a giant luxury Jenga. Meet Ida, the robot artist that uses artificial intelligence to create works already sold for huge sums of money. It has cameras in its eyes and robotic arms to paint or draw, even though it does not understand like a human. Its existence sparks debate. Is art intention or result? Still, the painting stares back, and you hesitate. Did you know there is a South Korean exoskeleton that helps people walk, carry weight, and climb stairs with less fatigue? It runs on batteries and is used in factories and rehabilitation. It is like putting on extra legs so the body suffers less. Technology that sounds like a comic but is becoming real. In Piedmont, Italy, there is a tree growing on top of another tree, a cherry tree riding a mulberry. No one knows for sure how it happened, but there they are, coexisting in a strange botanical fusion. Nature doing conceptual art without permission. 2 trees, 1 mandatory photo. Meet the Mjolnir bottle opener inspired by Thor's hammer. Runes, solid steel, and a magnet to stick it on the fridge. It is practical and also a look what I have object perfect for Nordic fans and Marvel lovers alike. You open a bottle and feel like you summoned lightning almost. The beer is worthy of Asgard. Discover Air Yacht, a hybrid luxury concept mixing airship and yacht designed to travel by air and sea. It sounds like science fiction, but targets ultra-high-end tourism with suites, lounges, and panoramic views. The idea is traveling where transport itself is the experience, not just movement. Basically, I do not want to arrive, I want to float in style. And that is all. Do not forget to like and subscribe for more Zarpado content.